the month of August. I know we bill every 2 months, I think. Or it might be too big of a program to do, but some type of a sales credit for the month of August.
It's something I haven't considered, but, you know, if it's something the board wants us to look into, we certainly could. I think the logistics of it would be tough, trying to figure out how to.
That's what I was wondering.
But
Would both of the logistics be tough, or would the water bill be easier than the sales tax credit?
as far as cutting the sales tax for 1 month, I don't think we can. So,
Plus, I think of the population that would benefit. I mean, of course, when you think of back to school and the parents and the families, I like the idea of the sales tax credit, but the water bill could impact many of us.
yeah, I think part of the home rule sales tax is already being used to reduce water bill increases over the time, because we talked about what we need to do water main over the next so many years. It was like $30 million, and we had a substantial water rate increase plan to fund that, and we offset that with half of the home rule sales tax increase. I think from staff perspective, there's a lot of issues with giving credits on water bills for sales tax that may or may not increase in the future. Typically, once you give something like that, you have to continue to give it, and we have no idea what sales tax is going to do year over year moving forward. So I think that'd be tough for staff to recommend. But
So our, since this is our first year of this new package sales tax, next year, will we set a higher forecast and therefore we might not achieve the 16.5% overrun?
we will, and another thing to remember is, one, yes, we will adjust the budget accordingly. We'll still be conservative, but we will adjust the budget. The other thing to remember is the increase in the home rule sales tax is partially offset, and we don't know the full impact of this yet, but it's partially offset of the reduction of the 1% grocery tax that the village was receiving. So, we got 5 months of the impact. Through the first 5 months, I don't think it's going to be what we thought it would be. I think it's going to be on the lower end of the range, but it'd be nice to have 12 months of data for that based on seasonality and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you guys think about it. I just thought there'd be some nice goodwill for our residents and our shoppers back to Gurnee on sales tax, but however, you can figure it out.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, on to item 2, presentation by Finance Director Brian Gosnell, short-term rental tax.
So this one's a little bit more interesting than the financial report, but it's actually something Trustee Ross brought to our attention a few times here through her work with the Visitors Bureau on short-term rentals. We actually first looked into it back in 2021. I went back and looked at some emails and correspondence with the Finance Director group today. We first looked at it in 2021, but the number of rentals that were on online platforms in Gurnee was so small. I think there was like 4. So it really didn't even make sense to pursue it or spend staff time on it. But obviously that has grown, and will probably continue to grow. So I think it's important that we at least take a look and maybe think about putting something in place so that we guard ourselves against it moving forward. So first, what are short-term rentals? Really, term refers to rentals less than 30 days, almost exclusively on platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and others. Quick search on Vrbo and Airbnb, there's 10 to 15 properties in Gurnee right now. If you just search up, like, I want to stay in Gurnee, there's a bunch that show up, but I think those are just properties that are outside of our village limits that are tagged as Gurnee. So on a search, they'll come up, but they're not actually in the village. A few hotels list rooms on there. Now, the hotels should already be complying with this because as what our code states right now, they are still the owner. So they're supposed to take these receipts included in their monthly hotel tax payments. So they should already be complying. But there was a couple of the 15 that were three of the 15 that were hotels booking rooms through there. But according to some stats that we got from Trustee Ross, if I'm interpreting them correctly, January through March was like 58 bookings, I think is what the thing said. So you can see if those are all Gurnee limit ones, Gurnee Village limit ones. You can see the numbers are definitely going up from what we saw back in 2021. So who does this now? So I was able to do a little online research. There's a few places that just strictly prohibit it, so they don't allow it. Unincorporated Lake County, Vernon Hills and Deerfield. Others have kind of a mixed bag of either they, in their code, they're kind of silent on it. Maybe the dwelling part of the code meets the definition, or they specifically just allow or put in the code specifically to online platforms and short-term rentals. If they do that, you can approach Airbnb and Vrbo. They'll collect the tax and remit it to the village automatically. If we just stay silent in the code on it, then it's really up to the person, the host, to tell Vrbo and Airbnb what they want to do. You can imagine how good of compliance that gets. So really, it's either our decision really is put it in the code, specify the online booking sites as a facilitator or owner, and require them to just remit to us, or do nothing. So this is our part of the code. We have just a few definitions, and really what it would take to put this in place is just adjusting our definitions a little bit. Obviously, I'll work with Brian and make sure all the legal definitions are in there correct, but looking through various village codes, it just is a little bit of an adjustment. So why do it? Currently, hotels and motels are defined in the code. Owners are defined in the code, very specific to your traditional hotel. Obviously, when we put this in place, we weren't contemplating Airbnb. Short-term rentals booked online right now don't meet the definition for us, so there's no really teeth to require them to pay that, again, except for hotels because they're a separate owner. An owner that is defined under our code language. So it creates this kind of inequality with traditional hotels. They're responsible for paying the 6% hotel tax. Online bookings are not. So it's a little bit of lost revenue for the village. Just the best of what I could compute from the data that I had, probably $50,000 a year is what I could see. So just a couple things to think about there. If we want to level the playing field, just a few things to add to the code. Want to expand the definition of hotel or motel, specify short-term rentals. Expand the hotel definition to include dwellings and short-term rentals. Specify define short-term rentals, and then add online travel companies as a facilitator, and then define facilitators as an owner. So they'd all be required, meet the definition, and be required to pay the tax under that modified code language. So really, just the decision tonight is it something we want to pursue and get into our village code in the tax section, hotel, motel occupancy tax section, and then we can work on drafting that up and bringing adoption forward to the village board.
Questions? My left?
Yeah. I guess my question is why? I mean, this would be a tax that would impact our residents, and that's typically an area where we have been trying to provide relief. Trustee Thorsenson's point, using some of the sales tax to potentially rebate in some way or benefit our residents, this would be going kind of in a different direction. So, and if it's a small number, is this anticipating a problem? Is it to curtail it, to limit it, to stop it? What are we trying to accomplish?
From a staff standpoint, it would be to level the playing field with traditional homes.
Yeah, it shouldn't impact the residents. It's the person that's renting the house themselves. So, for example, when my family and I go on vacation and we rent a Vrbo, if it says it's $250 a night, and then when we get the bill, it's $275 when they tack on all the taxes. So I'm paying that, not the owner of the house. So that shouldn't impact the residents.
No, but the owner of the house is resident, right? I mean,
Right, but they're not paying the tax. It's the person that's renting the house from the owner that pays the tax. So same as when you stay in a hotel room, that person pays the tax. So.
Okay.
And then, under the modified code language or some of the suggestions that I had there, Vrbo and Airbnb would pay that directly to the village. So it wouldn't have anything. The homeowner wouldn't be responsible for any of that.
Other than it would affect the market value, and if they were renting in some place that didn't have a tax, they'd be able to, or whatever, I guess, but that gets into the weeds.
Sure.
Turn that into a debate about that, but I guess my larger thought would be that it does impact our residents. I mean, kind of the philosophy behind having no sales tax, or no, I'm sorry, no property tax, and some of the rebates is to advantage our residents for all of the retail, the things that are generating revenue, and not relying on a property tax, and making it so that it eases the burden on our residents from having all the additional traffic and all the different things that aren't inherently residential that we benefit from. And so if they're already dealing with motels and hotels and visitors that way, and now they're experiencing those visitors on their own street, potentially, that it would make sense to have a tax that would generate some benefit for the community out of that. But so I think I would be in favor of pursuing this as a concept, because it would benefit our residents, even if it was a cost to the resident who is now using their residence as a business, arguably. So,
Yeah, and I would, just to add to that point, just, a little bit of the, research that I could do online and what is publicly out there is a lot of these shorter term rentals are either summer homes for folks, second homes, they're not their primary residence stretch. So, that plays into it.
yeah. Well, I mean, with all the things that are happening this summer, I mean, close to Six Flags, I can see where there would be market value in properties in Gurnee to be able to do this, and it may grow to be more than a handful.
Yep.
So conceptually, I would be in favor of going forward with this. But then I would also, to kind of echo what Trustee Thorstensen said, as we are generating these revenues, I would be in favor of some form of how do we benefit the community from that. There's some way to incentivize that back. And I don't know, water bills or sales tax or whatever, I don't have that fully formed thought, but just in concept, as these other things are growing and generating revenue, having a surplus to be able to put into capital expense should be the priority. But as these numbers become larger and larger, is there a way to additionally?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the village has very few kind of resident taxes. And the only one I could think of, off the top of my head, helicopter. That's the only one we still kind of have out there, other than water bill. So I can run some numbers and certainly get some information, see what that impact would be if that's something the board.
But to answer the question, I'm in favor of considering this.
All right, Trustee Russ?
Does it say specifically that it's the whole house, that you can't just rent a room?
No, the proposed language that I found, and really I cobbled this together from a few different ordinances that different folks passed to just try to get the most comprehensive thing. It says a dwelling or any part thereof. So it could be a room in somebody's house.
Yeah, we already prohibit renting rooms, so.
Okay, because,
Yeah, we don't allow you to rent a room to someone that isn't part of your family. So if it's family related, that's fine. Otherwise, it has to be the whole house. So right now, cannot rent out individual rooms, and we would continue forward with that.
yeah. And then also, did you talk to David Ziegler about this? Because there was a time that he was trying to tell people they could not do this when he found out that, and because it wasn't legal. And so I was just wondering what he felt about it.
Yeah, we've had discussions numerous times over the years with David on it. And really from the standpoint of, if we allow it, do we then want to license it and inspect it and do all those kind of staff time things? At this point, I don't know that the numbers really meet that threshold, but certainly something we should think about. But not in terms of is it allowed or not allowed, with David. More if we do allow it, how do we want to license it, inspect it, that kind of thing. So, like I said, right now I just don't think the number of them would facilitate having staff create another license. Add 50 agents or 15 inspections a year. Kind of have to regulate that kind of stuff. But if the numbers get to a certain point, it would make sense.
Well, and David still does check on a regular basis. So if we find where they're renting out a room and we can find out who the homeowner is, or if we receive complaints from a neighbor, we will reach out and let them know that, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. It's kind of a cat and mouse game. Some of the whole houses that I've seen, tailor more towards the Navy graduations. So that's what they focus on, that, hey, close to the Navy base, close to Six Flags, close to the mall, we've got this whole house, sleeps whatever, 14 people. But that's a different scenario. That's the entire house, not just a room, so.
Plus, they can also, they only get a certain amount of tickets, so they can also watch the whole group can watch it in their room or in the lobby to see the graduation. So that's an advantage to having it in a house where they can enjoy watching the graduation. But I forgot my other question. The other part of it is if they're doing it anyway, we might as well get the tax. And the way Airbnb works, if you go to one and you can leave either a favorable or an unfavorable report, and so it kind of, we don't really have to keep track of that because Airbnb does, and they give them warnings that they're not going to be able to keep their place in if they don't keep theirs up to date and clean and all that stuff. And there is one other thing. Libertyville has done this for a long time. And what happens then when there are some affordable houses, there are some people who will buy those up and then turn them into Airbnbs and so forth, and particularly around their downtown, that's happened. And so that kind of leaves some people out of the house buying market, which is something that we've been working on, trying to keep Gurnee affordable as well as others. So that's something to maybe keep track of.
Yeah, it's definitely a benefit of asking is now we have reporting from those companies coming to us telling us who's there instead of, us going out and kind of fake renting an Airbnb and seeing, seeing what pops up. So we'll have a better inventory of what's out there.
My first question asked was, is it worth staff time with only 10 to 15 properties in town? And then also, my other thought was, it's actually a tax on a business and not a resident. So if the owner of one of the car places that provide so much sales tax, if they live in Gurnee, they're still going to pay their sales tax. So it's a tax on a business. It's not a tax on residents. My only other point is, as a realtor, I'm all for private property rights. So if they want to keep doing it, I'm for it. I do know Fox Lake offers short-term rentals as an SUP, renewable SUP.
They do. And I thought that, from what I read, they had to go through a process. Each one had to go through a process.
Yeah, every single one.
Yeah. So.
I love it. I don't like it. I changed my mind. I love it. Why only 30 days? Why wouldn't we consider something less than a year?
I think then, at least from what I've read, a lot of folks have followed the state part of it too, the state language. I think you get into a whole different rental category when it goes over 30 days. Now it's
I
not
was
short
just
term.
wondering if we have
It's a
such
long-term
few,
rental.
do we have a bucket that we're not even looking at yet because they're greater than 30 but less than some other number?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly, do some more research on why 30, but I
And
think it's a different bucket.
I do like not just assigning a fee, but I'm going to come back to, Pat knows I've chatted with him periodically on this, the inspection. So we do have investors renting properties in Gurnee, and I don't think, at least in this one case, that they take good care of their home. It seems like when it rains too much and then the people leave, there's a whole lot of, what I see is a lot of damaged furniture that they just leave out at the curb and then they leave. They exit their lease because the renter or investor is not doing their job. So I don't know if it would have to be every single time, but I said, could we consider like a periodic inspection that would have it be an offset, but also a diligence that we're not just ruining this home in Gurnee because we're bringing you lots of people that maybe don't care if they have to pay another expense, which is that they damage something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the property owner is going to want to keep it up so they can rent it out more. You know, they have incentive to keep up their property.
There's also, that could be, I hear, that there are some residents that may not be diligently fixing their fences, and therefore, if that happens to be a rental property, we could be, you know, a little bit more proactive on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, on to the item 3, presentation by Assistant Director of Finance and Human Resources, Erica Wells, long-term care insurance. Pat/Erica. Want to say anything?
I'm good. Erica's got it covered.
All right.
Hi, thank you. All right, so I kind of just want to give you some information on a long-term care insurance that the village staff has been looking at. Long-term care, just to give you some background, is designed to help pay for services and support when you can't perform activities of daily living on your own. These activities include items such as bathing, dressing, eating, incontinence due to aging, illness, or disability. This would be something that's 100% employee-paid premium. There is no cost to the village, and the village's role would be limited to offering the benefits and facilitating enrollment. The plan provides life insurance protection while allowing policyholders to access benefits if they need qualifying long-term care services. Coverage allows for the participant to move to an assisted living facility, nursing home, in-home care, or any other type of support. With the long-term care insurance, employees pay a fixed premium directly to the insurance company, and rates are guaranteed to stay the same for the life of the policy. In order to use it, employees make a claim if they need help with any of those adult daily living activities. They would then receive a monthly benefit dependent on the product that we select, or the term could be anywhere between 25 to 50 months. The employee would be able to keep the benefit at the premium level even if the employee would leave village employment, so the coverage is guaranteed renewable and would remain in full force as long as the premium is paid. And then depending on the plan selected, there's death benefits that remain for beneficiaries. So why are we looking at this? Long-term care is very expensive, with an average cost about $7,000 a month. Having long-term care insurance in place removes some of the burden on families. Over 70% of people actually are going to require care that is not covered by regular insurance. And having long-term care gives families and employees a choice when it comes to care, whether to be in their own home or in a facility. So what do benefits look like? Depending on plan design, again, there's different monthly benefits that we can select. Anywhere between 4 or 6% of a death benefit can be used for long-term care. Again, a benefit period can be anywhere between 25 and 50 months. Looking at some statistics, most people will probably need at least 2.5 years of long-term care at some point. There's also death benefit restoration that could be selected in plan design. So for example, if a portion of that long-term care is used, some of it can be purchased in the policy as a death benefit to make sure that the beneficiaries would still get some benefit, even if long-term care expenses were used from the plan. There's also some of the plans offer a family caregiving benefit, which basically accelerates a death benefit at 2% per month when the caregiver is a family member. So that money can be used for either paying that family member to care for the individual, or for assistance that might be needed for anything that's really related to modifications, or anything that could be related again, to the caregiver. And then there's Carry Loop, which is involved, that provides the employee or family with 24/7 digital access to help with planning. So one of the things that we talked about with some of the companies that we looked at is when an individual goes into long-term care or needs long-term care, people really don't know what to do. How do you plan for it? So this actual product would give you some information on, you know, all the lists of different places that provide local facilities or home care, pricing included, just a huge benefit for people that are going through long-term care needs. So we looked at 3 different companies when we were kind of discussing this as a benefit for employees, and Trustmark was one that we landed on as one of really a product that most closely aligns with the village's goals and objectives, or staff goals and objectives, I should say. It offers a guaranteed issue at initial enrollment. So employees and eligible spouses can enroll during the initial offering, either as a new hire or an existing employee without a medical exam or any health questionnaire. That's really definitely an advantage. It makes coverage more accessible regardless of current health conditions that people may be going through. It also, like I mentioned, supports employee financial planning, so it helps employees prepare for potentially long-term care if they need it in the future. Think about it now, be able to pay for it now, have the policy in place in case they ever need that, then it's something that they don't have to worry about in the future. And then Trustmark is local with their headquarters in Lake Forest. They have been around for more than 100 years. And rates are affordable. So rates really vary right now anywhere because of the, it depends on the age of the participant or employee. So it really can be anywhere between $20 a month for a monthly premium starting at just $25,000, anywhere to, you know, a premium of $294 for somebody who's maybe older and getting the biggest benefit possible. So at this point, we reviewed the information. We want to continue moving forward with reviewing more. Because there's so much with plan design, we would like to request village board consensus to work with an employee representative group to gather some additional feedback and really find out what are the things that matter to employees and what they would like to see in the plan design, and then come back and make a recommendation that would allow us to move forward. Again, the most important thing to remember with this is it is employee paid 100%, so there is no cost to the village. And it's really just giving employees just some extra coverage and making it accessible to them, something that maybe employees don't think about on their own, but providing that benefit to them. They would pay through their own checking account, so there would not even be anything through payroll deduction. Joe, I will take any questions if anybody has them.
Right. Anybody have questions? Go, Brian.
Just one. Is there a penalty or anything if there's not a high adoption rate by the employees?
Did you say, is it a high adoption rate?
If there's not a high adoption rate by the employees, is there a penalty of any kind?
So there's no penalty, but we do need to have at least 10 employees or spouses participate. So if 5 employees and 5 spouses participate, then that's where that guaranteed amount would come in. If for some reason we don't get that participation, which we have kind of talked to people just in our department head meetings to see if there's interest, and people do seem interested, so we feel pretty confident that if it was available, that employees would be interested.
Thank you.
Zero.
I think it's a really good idea, and it's nice that you've done the homework on it, because there's so many companies out there that promise, and you have it in writing, and I just think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
You first.
I like it. Have we looked, and would this make us more advantageous for lateral hires in terms of other municipalities? Do they already have this offer, or are we new cutting edge to it from the village?
I mean, we do like to be cutting edge, and I feel like we have spoken to a couple of different municipalities that are interested in it, but we haven't heard of anybody that's moved forward here locally. There are some bigger places that have it at the state level. I think I'm not sure how many young people, to be honest, are looking at it, but I think it'll definitely be something that if we educate them, locking in that rate at a young age would be very beneficial. So I'm hopeful that if we educate, then we will get participation even with our new hires.
Great. And you answered something that I was going to ask in your answer to Quinn or Trustee O'Brien. So you said spouses. Would that also coverage, it be extended to an employee's disabled children?
There, I'd have to look more into plan design to see if it offers that, but I know that, that there is a certain age, remember the age limit on the kids? I don't have the age limit on the kids, but there is an option for that.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Woodside?
You probably already answered this question, but said there's no cost to the village. The only cost is the administrative cost. You've obviously already done a lot of work on this. I have a pretty good idea, or at least I think I do, of how much of your time is spent managing insurance issues. In fact, if everybody's half as needy as I am, you've spent a lot of time on it that I probably am not even aware of. But so what do you anticipate this is going to be administratively? Is that insignificant, or is it?
Time-wise, I think it's going to be, getting the plan running will take a little bit of time, but once it is, I think it'll be pretty easy to manage from our end.
Just another thing.
Yeah. It is, but I think the benefit really outweighs any work that we put into it, especially seeing so many people needing this at a younger age.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great idea. It's an additional benefit. And to the degree that it improves recruitment, we'll probably never know, but it certainly can't hurt. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that anytime that we can really make that benefit package look a little bit nicer for employees coming on and employees that are here, it makes, I think having a benefit like this in place really makes employees realize that, like, oh, my employer is looking out for me in every aspect, and this isn't something that maybe I thought about on my own, but after getting the education, and we'll actually have Trustmark out to educate our employees on the benefit, I think they'll see how important it is and probably sign up.
Thank you for doing the work.
Of course.
Well, Erica, I think you picked a group of people that might be a little more sensitive to long-term care given the average age of our board, but I'll just speak for myself. Pat's not 50 yet, so I think we're safe.
I'm close.
Are very part-time employees eligible, I guess would be the question. I don't want to ask publicly, but.
Yeah, I will definitely find out for you.
Thank you for all your work on this, Erica. I think it seems like it's very positive that we really would like to see it happen, so thanks. Right, on for the last public comment. Anybody like to make a statement to the board on any issue? May step to the microphone and state your name. There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Woodside,
Second.
second by Trustee O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.